Hello everyone, and today we're going to be looking at how to use Seenspire and Signage Live together to deliver up-to-date content, whether that be from a social feed or one of your own social feeds, or one of the curated pieces of content that are available within Seenspire itself. So to get started, what you're going to need to do is have a Seenspire account. There'll be links in this video, or you'll be able to find it within the document that you're reading. And what Seenspire do is basically curate a whole range of different content, whether it would be social media, weather, traffic, thoughts of the day, that kind of thing. But on top of that, you can also collate and curate your own social media, so whether that be Twitter or LinkedIn or Facebook, and then create that into a piece of content itself. So what we're going to do today is walk you through the guide of how to set that up. Now, it's really, really easy, so it should be a fairly short video. So what we're doing right now, if you're looking at my screen, which hopefully you are, you can see that I have my Seenspire account, and I've already set up Signage Live's LinkedIn feed. Now, we're going to create a whole range of different content that we want to display, and we're going to demonstrate this full screen, but there's no reason this couldn't be in zone with multiple zones as well. One of the things to bear in mind when doing this is around the actual animation. Now, obviously, if you're running this full screen, it should work on most devices, but if you're starting to fill it up with a range of other video content, this is obviously using HTML5 to deliver it, so it is a live URL, not a video file or anything that's stored locally on the device. So just something to bear in mind is you will need a continuous internet connection to display this content mostly, and you'll also need a relatively good processor within your player to run this alongside other content as well. So to get started, I've created my LinkedIn feed, but just to show you how I did that, I can create a new feed from scratch here, create feed, and then we've got options. So it could be team collaborations. You do have the option to do things like teams and others. And then we also have social media. So I'm going to go and create a social media feed here and go through those steps. It's really, really easy. All we need to do is enter the feed name. So I might call this Signage Live Twitter. Then you go on to the next step, which will ask you to curate the actual content source. You can then enter in the social media source, Twitter in this case, connect to Twitter, and then you'll need to go and authorize that with your Twitter service. Now, I'm not going to go through that on this one because I've already done it with the LinkedIn feed, but after that you'll be able to select the grid feed, so whether it's Uno, which basically just means you have one post at a time, and that covers your entire screen, or you can go with the grid option, which gives you these multitudes with some really nice animation in there, and you've got some more control over that as well. So now that we've created that feed, what that will do is give you a layout or a URL at the end of this feed setup, and we're going to go over to my LinkedIn version here just to see that running. Oops. So let's go over to the feed settings. So we've got our Signage Live LinkedIn here. We're going to go down. You can see we've got the option to auto approve, or we can actually approve all the content pieces ourselves. So for example, if you've got a range of people that are managing your social media and you want to be able to review the actual assets that you want to be delivered on the screen, you can have an approval set up within Seenspire itself. And then you can also set a date range of how old you want that content to be. You can then choose a feed layout. So we've gone with grid option here, which has got a little bit more kind of control with more zones. And then we've got things like profanity filters, custom-wide filters, so you can block certain words, account filters, so you want to make sure that a certain account doesn't turn up, you can do that too. So all of it is about curating and preparing your content, which is now done. You can have a look at your feed layout. So in this example, we've got our default field, which we can change. So why don't we change that to... So we're going to change this over to an aerial. That just changes all the text that kind of hovers over those assets. You can also do preferences, so whether you want the aspect ratio to be extended, so you've got 3 column layouts, if you've got a wider screen or something more unique. We're just going to stay with the 2 at the moment and arrange whether you want it in images or no images. There's a whole range of settings and choices that you can go here within Seenspire. Disable the audio, everything we're going to keep as is at the moment. And you can also do call to actions. So if you wanted someone to say, contact us or tweet here or whatever it might be, you could add that in there as well. At the end of that, we can then go to our manage feeds. We're going to go over to our feed URL, and this is our feed URL here. We're going to copy this, and then we're going to take that over to Signage Live. So now we've got our device running here, our Samsung. All we're simply going to need to do is go to the playlist manager. We're going to create a new playlist from scratch this time, but you may already have one that's up and running. I've already taken my Seenspire playlist, so I've just uploaded the asset by going to the plus button, going to web page, pasting in that URL, and then I've called it the Seenspire content. And obviously, if you have multiple Seenspire pieces that are going to different players and locations, you'll just need to repeat this for each one and give each asset its own unique name. Now that we've got that, all we need to do is click and drag our Seenspire playlist over, double click on the asset. I'm actually going to have this run for longer than 10 seconds because it's the only asset on the screen, but you might have Seenspire turn up and then it rotates over to another asset. So in this case, I'm actually going to let this run for almost an entire day because I've got no intention of moving over to another asset. I'm then going to save my playlist, and I'm going to call this the Seenspire Signage Live playlist, and I've saved that now. So now that we've got our playlist, it's actually going to come up and ask us whether we'd like to publish this straight away, which I'm going to do, but if this is already published, then obviously you don't need to. So I'm going to select publish, go through the publication process, where we're basically telling it when do you want this content to display, what times of day, is it all the time, what players, what devices do you want to send it to. Really, really simple stuff where we're simply just selecting the players, and I'm going to go and find our search for my own name, and here's our Samsung, and then hit OK, and then publish. And that is pretty much it. All of the rest of the work will be taken care of. It will be automatically pulling from your social media feeds, whether it be 1 or 2 or multiples or however many they may be. So you don't need to touch anything else now. Your Seenspire content is set up with Signage Live. Okay, and there we have it. We've got our Seenspire content running. And another thing just to show you about the curation. So if we come back to my screen here, you can actually see that what it's done is it's pulled in all of our social feeds. We can actually go in here and decline certain pieces of content. So if we maybe feel like a particular piece of content just isn't relevant, then I can decline it and it will remove itself from that social media feed. So it's all about curating and preparing your content from whatever source you're already pulling from. So again, that could be Instagram, social media, Twitter, your teams, or anything that's coming through through that Seenspire content. If you've got any questions, reach out to us. More than happy to get you in touch with Seenspire directly if you'd like and get that set up as an example. If you do want to come and talk to us about Signage Live and the digital signage element of that, feel free to reach out to us. But again, it's a really, really simple setup tool and how Signage Live works with Seenspire. Thanks very much. We'll speak to you soon.